Have you ever felt a silence so loud it physically hurts? That was me, standing in the doorway of our bedroom, my hand frozen on the knob. The air was thick with the scent of her perfume, a fragrance I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary, now mingling with a faint, unfamiliar cologne. On the nightstand, 2 champagne flutes sat empty, one stained with her signature red lipstick, the other not. The sheets were a disaster, a battlefield of tangled silk. She was fast asleep, looking peaceful, almost angelic, completely unaware that her world was about to detonate. And I was the one holding the fuse. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. My name is Mark, and for 10 years I thought my wife Jessica was my everything. We built a life in Chicago, a beautiful brownstone in Lincoln Park. I was a software architect. She was a rising star in a downtown marketing firm. We were the couple everyone envied, the ones who still held hands walking down Michigan Avenue, who laughed at the same stupid jokes. So I thought. The change was subtle at first. Late nights at the office, she'd say, kissing me briefly at the door. Big project launch. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Trust was the foundation of our marriage. But the foundation had started to crack. It began with the small things. She started guarding her phone like it was a state secret. A text would come in, and she'd angle the screen away so quickly, you'd think it was a reflex. She started talking about a new colleague. David thinks we should pivot our strategy, or David is a genius with client relations. David. The name echoed in our house like a ghost. I tried to ignore the knot tightening in my stomach. I was being paranoid, right? Insecure, I told myself that every single day. Then came the credit card bill. Charge for a room at the Langham, it's a luxury hotel overlooking the Chicago River. It was for a Tuesday afternoon when she was supposedly in an all-day client workshop. When I asked her about it, her eyes went cold. It was a corporate booking, Mark, for the client. God, can you be any more controlling? She made me feel small, like my question was an accusation born of jealousy, not a simple inquiry about a $2,000 charge. She was so good at it, turning my concern into a flaw. She was the victim, and I was the paranoid, controlling husband. I almost believed her. The breakdown happened a week later. I'd come home early, wanting to surprise her. Maybe take her out to that little Italian place we loved on Clark Street. I found a receipt from a jewelry store in her coat pocket. It was for a man's watch, an expensive one, engraved. The receipt was tucked inside a bill from a restaurant, a romantic little spot called Gia's Cafe, known for its fondue and private booths. They were there the night I was in Cleveland for a business trip. The same night she said she was having a quiet girls' night in. That was it. The knot in my stomach wasn't a knot anymore. It was a black hole, sucking all the light and air out of my life. I stumbled into my home office, closed the door, and just shattered. I sat on the floor for hours, the silent screams trapped in my throat, my world reduced to a piece of paper in my trembling hand. 10 years. Gone. But as the sun went down, casting long shadows across the floor, something inside me shifted. The pain didn't vanish, but it crystallized. It turned from grief into something hard, cold, and sharp. Revenge. It wasn't a noble thought. It was primal. She didn't just cheat on me. She gaslit me, humiliated me, and made me question my own sanity. She and this David, whoever he was, they felt untouchable. They were laughing at me in their 5-star hotel rooms and their romantic little booths. Fine. Let them laugh. I decided right then and there I wouldn't just leave her. I would dismantle her, would burn her perfect little world to the ground and make sure she knew I was the one who lit the match. The first step was gathering evidence. I wasn't a spy, but I was a damn good software architect. I installed a keylogger on our home computer and discreetly placed a voice-activated recorder in her car. It felt disgusting, a violation of the man I used to be. But the man I used to be was a fool, and I couldn't afford to be a fool anymore. The recordings were brutal. I'd sit in my car during my lunch break, listening to her laughing with him, her voice, the same voice that whispered loving words to me, now dripping with affection for another man. They talked about me. They called me predictable, boring, clueless. They planned their future trips, mocking my work schedule. Each word was a fresh stab in the heart, but it was also fuel. But I saved every file, every recording, every text I managed to photograph from her unlocked phone when she showered. I was building an arsenal. My behavior at home changed. I became the perfect husband. I stopped asking questions. I brought her flowers. I told her I was sorry for being so paranoid, that the stress from work was getting to me. She bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Her arrogance was my greatest weapon. She saw my apologies as a victory, proof that she had me wrapped around her finger. She and David grew bolder. He started calling the house phone once. I answered. "Is Jess there?" he asked, his voice smug. "Who's calling?" I asked calmly. There was a pause. "It's David, from work." "Sure," I said. "Let me get her for you." I handed her the phone, smiled, and went back to making dinner. I could feel her watching me, gauging my reaction. I gave her nothing. Inside, I was a raging inferno. Outside, I was a placid lake. They thought they were invisible. They had no idea I was the one watching them from the shadows. The plan had two phases, legal and social. Legally, I hired the most ruthless divorce attorney in Chicago. I met him in secret, paying him from a new bank account. I showed him my mountain of evidence. He just smiled. "Strevens," he said, "this isn't a divorce. This is a demolition. Illinois is a no-fault state, but the evidence of infidelity and her spending of marital assets on her affair would be devastating in court." We filed everything quietly, setting the stage for a financial checkmate she would never see coming. Phase 2 was the public humiliation. Jessica's career was everything to her. She was up for a huge promotion to vice president of marketing. Her boss, a woman named Cynthia, was a stickler for image and integrity. Jessica had spent years curating this perfect image of a powerful, loyal, happily married career woman. I decided to use her own ambition against her. The promotion was to be announced at the company's annual gala, held at the Four Seasons Hotel on Delaware Place. It was the biggest night of her professional life. It would also be her last. The night of the gala arrived. Jessica looked stunning in a silver gown. "Do I look like a VP?" she asked, twirling in front of the mirror. "You look like a star," I said, and for a fleeting second, the old love ached in my chest. I pushed it down. That man was dead. I handed her a small, beautifully wrapped gift. "Luck," I said. She opened it. It was a simple, elegant silver locket. She loved it, kissing me deeply. "We're so sweet," she murmured. She had no idea what was inside. At the gala, the atmosphere was electric. We sat at the main table with her boss, Cynthia, and other executives. David was there too, at a nearby table, occasionally catching Jessica's eye with a smug little smile. They thought they were so clever. The time came for the big announcement. Cynthia took the stage. "This year's promotion to vice president is a special one," she began, launching into a glowing speech about loyalty, dedication, and integrity, all while praising Jessica. Jessica was beaming, squeezing my hand under the table. My heart was pounding like a drum. This was it. As Cynthia was about to say her name, I leaned over to Jessica. "Darling," I whispered, my voice calm and even. "Now, Mark, she's about to open it," I insisted, my smile never leaving my face. Her smile faltered. With trembling fingers, she fumbled with the clasp. It clicked open. Inside, instead of a picture, was a tiny, folded piece of paper. It was a miniature copy of the hotel receipt from the Langham. Her face went white. All the color drained from it. Her eyes darted from the locket to my face. They were filled with sheer, unadulterated panic. "And so it is, with great pleasure," Cynthia boomed from the stage, "that I announce our new vice president of marketing, Jessica Evans." A spotlight hit our table. The room erupted in applause, but Jessica didn't stand up. She was frozen, staring at me, her mouth slightly agape in horror. I just kept smiling. I leaned in again, my lips close to her ear. "Smile, honey," I whispered. "They're all looking at you. By the way, your boss Cynthia and the entire board of directors just received an email. The subject line is, 'The integrity of Jessica Evans.' It contains audio files, hotel receipts, and some very intimate texts between you and David. Oh, and David's wife just got the same email." Now stand up and take a bow. You've earned it." Her world collapsed in that single moment. I watched the realization dawn on her face, the slow-motion implosion of her life. She looked over at David, whose own face had turned ashen as he stared at his phone. His wife was already standing up, her face a mask of fury. Jessica looked at her boss on stage, who was now looking down at her own phone with a frown. The applause began to falter, replaced by confused whispers. It was a masterpiece of social destruction. She was ruined. Completely and utterly. She couldn't stand. She just sat there, shaking as her perfect world burned to ash around her. I stood up, adjusted my tie, and walked away from the table without a backward glance. I didn't need to see the rest. The lawyers would handle the financial ruin. Her company would handle the professional ruin, and he would handle the romantic ruin. I had simply supplied the materials. The divorce was swift and brutal. She got nothing. Her career was over. Her reputation was annihilated. I sold the brownstone in Lincoln Park and moved out of Chicago. I never saw her or spoke to her again. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I think about that night. I don't feel joy or satisfaction. I don't feel hatred or anger. I just feel quiet. It's a cold, empty quiet, the kind that comes after a devastating storm. I took my revenge, and it was as complete as I planned. But a demolition leaves nothing behind but wreckage. I won, so why does it feel like I lost everything? The end.